Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another wonderful edition of the Elijah Sisters podcast. We are so thankful to be with you all tonight. Guess what? We made it through another hurricane. We made it through another storm. We've gone through 2 storms since our show has been on. Nicole passed through, and I don't know what part of the country that you're listening from, but we actually had a really bad storm on Tuesday night. So Hurricane Nicole, which wasn't even a hurricane when it first started.
No.
It was actually supposed to be a tropical storm, but a typical true to form for a woman. Amped it up. Oh, by the time she got to South Carolina,
she said, "Y'all ain't taking me serious."
A little upset, and it became a hurricane by the time she got up here, and then stayed for 2 whole days, and because that's what we do. We do what we want to do, and that was like Thursday and Friday. But Tuesday we had an even worse storm than the hurricane because I don't know if she forgot something, double back, whatever it was. We had some power outages and some things happened here, but we're still here. We made it. And so for another Friday, we can say, my goodness, thank God it's Friday. We made it through another week. And we're so glad that you're here with us, to be with us on this episode today. Our episode today is the power of the pen. Did you know that November is National Memoir Writing Month and Novel Writing Month? So if you love to write, have thought about writing, always dreamed about writing, or didn't even know that you are already a writer, you'll find out that today. Most of you have already been writing and been published writers and didn't even know. And tonight you're going to find out some wonderful information, get some inspiration and some encouragement, and we're here to help you with that. So tonight's show is just going to be really awesome because one of the things that you'll learn about the Elijah Sisters is all 3 of us are published authors. Did you know that? Now you know. There's with the PBS, there was the saying, there's one to grow on. So there's one to grow on with you for tonight. So let's jump right into some of our hot topics and some of our news for this week. I don't have any sad news.
Thank the Lord. It was getting rough in these streets.
Last week it was rough.
I was like, I can't do no more. Can y'all just wait?
I know. And so we're going to have some really great stuff for you today. So Beyonce, the Grammy nominations have come out. Woo! I used to be such a Grammy person. I was like, so
I didn't even know they were coming up. I forgot.
I do follow the nominations for some of my people. The last couple of years, I've been a little bit disappointed, especially for African American artists. But this year, just on Bey alone, just on her strength alone, I'm happy.
She carried us through. She got us.
And doesn't she always?
She does.
So
we was on the phone talking, and she was like, "Girl," I was like, "I know, girl."
Yeah. She's all in the hive, and she did what we asked her to do. So she is tied with her husband Jay-Z as the artist with the most career Grammy nominations ever. Because she's Beyonce. Going into Tuesday's nominations, the rapper topped the list. Jay-Z topped the list of all-time Grammy nominations with 83 nominations. Whoa. Now, I'm going to say this, and my sisters are probably going to drop me from the call when I say this, but I will be, I'm fine with unpopular opinion. Jay-Z has not ever been my favorite rapper.
Oh, no, you ain't getting dropped for that. He's never been one of my favorites.
Okay, I'm just fine.
I was worried about to say something about Beyonce.
No, I wasn't listening to Beyonce, don't do that.
No, Jay-Z has never been one of my favorite rappers.
He's never been my favorite rapper, but I will say this. I think he's an incredible lyricist. And he definitely can't take that from him. But I did know that he had that many nominations. That was amazing to me. And so for just for him being a person of color, that made me proud. And following him was Sir Paul McCartney with 81, Quincy Jones with 80, and then Beyonce with 79. But Beyonce, not to be outdone, I mean, Doesn't a black woman love her husband? We do. But I mean, if you could do you,
do you boo.
So, so Beyonce added her 9 to the nominations this year.
Whoa.
This
9?
phenomenal woman. She added 9 to her total after the nominations were announced, including Album of the Year for Renaissance and Record of the Year with the Song of the Year for Break My Soul.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Her project also helped her husband increase his total, because, I mean, he is. As he snagged 5 additional nominations, including as one of the songwriters of Break My Soul.
I mean, hey.
When you look up power couple in the dictionary, I'm sure their picture is there.
He know who he got. He knows that's why that man was crawling across broken glass.
Okay.
Trying to apologize.
Okay.
He knows.
Jay-Z will be competing against himself for Song of the Year. Against himself. The Song of the Year, as he is also nominated in that category for the DJ Khaled single, God Did. I wasn't aware of that.
Me neither. Wait, what's the song?
God Did.
That sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah, I'm aware of the song. I just,
Yeah,
anyway,
I'm not
gonna mention how I feel about DJ Khaled. Moving on.
Yeah. And another one.
And that's it. Here we go. We know what your stuff, dude.
So I was just like, I'm not even gonna comment on how he getting Grammys. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna hold the conversation.
So many times.
As a whole other conversation.
Yeah, when the term super producer, I'm like, okay, anyway.
Here we go.
The superstar also made first-time appearances in a few categories with Break My Soul and Renaissance, helping her earn her first nomination. Listen to this. She earned her first nominations in the Best Dance and Electronic categories, recording, and the Best Dance and Electronic Music Album categories, respectively. She's always breaking ceilings.
And that's why I love this album. It's so, like, I'm not surprised that it was in that category.
It was very different.
Because that's what that album is. Like, it's a great electronic type, 70s club type, that sound. It's just like, she went
in that studio and reinvented herself big time.
And she has the right to, and did it well.
So listen to this. With 28 wins to date, Beyonce is the most awarded female artist in Grammy history. Should she win 4 out of the 9 she's nominated for, she will become the most awarded artist of all time, surpassing conductor Sir Greg Solti, who has won 31. So we are cheering for Beyonce.
Go, B, go.
100%.
Now, are there any live performances that I might want to see? Because I'm like, I don't even really watch award shows like I used to. Like, I used to watch like the whole, like all kind of award shows. Now I'm just want to see performances and just going about my day. So I'm like, I
didn't check the list, but I am definitely going to this evening.
Okay. What are they
make them out. That's just the nominations.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure that the live performances haven't been made known to us yet.
When are the Grammys?
That's in the spring.
Oh yeah, no, we don't. Never mind. We're not gonna know that quite yet.
People have plenty of time to mess up and fall from grace.
They don't even announce it this early anymore because they done. I remember when they used to announce way earlier, and then they would have to change people. So they ain't gonna tell us yet.
So if you are a parent, a child care provider, then you, and for any time between the year 2000 and current, you could not escape the beautiful blue dog known as Blue's Clues. Mm-hmm. Steve Burns, her best friend, is returning with Blue's Clues.
Okay, I should have been that excited.
I was like, really, Angelique?
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, I should have been that excited, but I was. And Blue's Clues came out when I was well past the age I should be involved in Blue's Clues.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I never could accept any other person. After he left, I just was like, I mean, if kids want to watch it, all right, but it's like it didn't have the same taste as Steve.
Joe was not the one.
No, it just
Burns is set to return to the dual animated and live action world in the forthcoming film Blue's Big City Adventure, which will drop on Paramount Plus today. November the 18th.
I might look at it. Nobody just kind of peek at it.
And what child will you be watching it with, Angelique? I don't recall you having children in your home.
My inner child. Me and my inner child will be watching it with no shame.
Okay.
All right. I just make this glance at it, act like it's in the background. Like I really want to watch it. It was just on. That's what I'm going to say to people. It was just on in the background. Do other stuff.
My daughter was a humongous Blue's Clues fan. She was born in 1997, though. It was age appropriate.
But I'm saying that's why I had to watch it. Wasn't no.
Yeah, we all had to watch Blue's Clues. On the first trip alone.
All right.
But Steve did leave the role in 2003 due to depression, which he didn't even realize the depth of the manic depression he actually was battling and has been and dealt with for many, many years. But he now feels that he is healthy and in a great headspace and excited to return to the role and entertain kids. And I am not gonna lie, I will be watching it this weekend as well.
Because I remember he was like, he even said like the depression, he was like, and when he started losing his hair, he just was like, I didn't feel comfortable, because I was watching it, because I saw the interview after he made that post, like when the panorama was real big, and he did that post on Twitter, and which made everybody cry, and I was like, why is everybody crying? And I saw it, and then I cried, and I was like, oh, I see why everybody crying. But I mean, Steve is Blue's Clues. Like I know they had other people. I know they tried to keep the show going. They kept adding other food and animals, and I was just like, you just need Steve and Blue.
An important thing to remember is, when Blue's Clues took off, it was huge, and a lot of those shows at that time were like Barney and all of them. They were doing touring shows as well as recording. And when you're pouring out and never taking a break to pour back in, as he said, you're giving out, and you're never stopping to get back in. And children pull on you in a way that's so different than adults. So it's even the expectation you have in yourself. And I've worked with children for over 25 years, so I understand that. And so he never, first of all, identified his mental health. And then once he did, there was no time he felt to address it. I'm sure now he wishes that he did earlier on. But it was the constant pressure. And he was working for, he's working for Nickelodeon. But we are glad that Steve is back, and maybe my daughter and my grandson will FaceTime watch it together this weekend. We'll all watch it together. So cute.
It will.
If I can get him to sit still.
If I actually, you know what? I
think it's enough, because my grandson likes stuff with music in it, and I think it's just enough to keep him sitting still. Because
I do like it if they do it the same way as the show was, which I don't see why they would. It'll have enough, because that was a whole
because they sang everything was a song.
Because that's how they taught. It was like you put it like with a song, and because I'm like, I remember the male song, I remember the think chair song, I remember so many of them songs, and sometimes I just be I have went to get the mail and hum that darn mail song.
Guilty. All right.
What are you doing? You are 37 years old.
Sing about the salt and pepper and everything. All right, moving on. So we're in the fun time of the year where we're looking at the wonderful holiday movies, and I'm telling you, this is my favorite time of the year. This is my favorite time of the year.
It is. Once you get past
the most wonderful time of the year. So there's some wonderful movies out. If you are a fan of the Santa Claus movies and Tim Allen series, then you'll be happy to know that he is back after 16 years with a new movie called The Santa Clauses. I am
the last one.
That made me feel so freaking old, I ain't gonna tell you.
Oh no.
Why did you make me feel it wasn't a good fit.
I didn't know that. Ooh. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had to take a pause for the cause. But Tim Allen is back, and he's back with some of the original cast, which always makes it phenomenal. And I'm excited to see this. It is on Disney Plus. He's putting on that red suit and entertaining us again. The premise of the movie, and I'm trying not to give spoilers. I know if you're like me, I don't really care for the spoilers. I need to watch it for myself. But I will give the premise from the from the previews. Him and his family decided to become normal and come down to earth.
Okay, buddy.
Us as the Clauses, and unfortunately I have to go back and save the North Pole with a series of capers and things that I'm sure will be wonderful. It premiered on Disney Plus, I believe in a 2-part series, which premiered on November 16th, so it is on my list of movies to watch over this weekend. Another movie that premiered yesterday was Spirited. Oh my gosh.
Ready.
I just need to rest in that for a moment. Spirited stars Ryan Reynolds. I don't know why I almost said Ryan Gosling. Ooh. Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell. And I have to say Octavia Spencer, because even though her part wasn't huge, it is pertinent, so pertinent to the movie, and just because it's Octavia. She just needs me to say her name. She called me. So it's you know, how many times have we seen this story told over the years? It's been this Scrooge story told 100,000 different ways and times over the years. Yet they managed to tell it in a way that is so necessary and so beautiful. And what I love about it more than anything, my dear sisters, I watched it last night. I promise you that was the best 2 hours and 7 minutes of my life. At least for probably 2022. It's a musical. And it's a real musical.
And that's the difference between sometimes they'll say something musical and it's like, that's not a musical. That's not
no.
Like, no. Like, there's a difference between when I hear the word musical, I'm thinking, you know, Sound of Music, Chicago, like it's a musical. You're using songs to tell stories. It's So if you saying it's a real musical, I believe you, because you know what that means.
Yeah, no, it's a real musical, and what makes it phenomenal is it starts. Some musicals, they say a musical and it takes forever to get to the songs. It's 3 songs in the movie, which really annoys me like nobody's business.
Because I'm with songs.
Because I'm a theater person.
Yeah.
It hits with the music and the dance, and it's music and dancing, which to me fully makes it a musical, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to say one thing to you all, because I know you all are going to watch it, and you don't.
Okay, I'm watching it tonight.
But I will say this one word to you all: tap dancing. That's it. I'm done.
Thank you. You're welcome. All right.
And more than once. When I saw that, I was like,
I rarely ever see tap dancing in a musical. Like, they use a lot of different dance. I rarely ever see tap dance. Well, I should say the ones I watch. It's probably, of course, it exists, but that's usually not the go-to style in a musical.
It's blended styles, but they seriously feature the tap dancing, and I was blown away by the tap dancing. Like, wow, just really wow. So it's worth seeing. I'll be watching it again this weekend.
I'll be watching it.
Well, first of all, I'll watch anything with Will Ferrell in it, and I would watch anything with Ryan Reynolds in it. So, and I'd watch anything with Octavia in it. So, see, there we are.
I mean, it's three people that are like, oh, they're in it, cool. It's like, it's certain people, I don't care what it is, I'm going to watch it. And like, that's what like a lot of people, when they were like saying Red Notice or Red, whatever one movie Ryan Reynolds did with The Rock and Wonder Woman. Sorry, I forgot her name. But Gal Gadot. But I always say her name like that. But she, that, like, I was like, okay, that's three people I love, so I'm going to watch the movie. I don't care what anybody thinks about it, because I'm going to watch the movie. I don't care. So I was like, when I saw Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds, I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't care what the movie's about. I don't care if it's a musical or not. I don't care if it's a drama, comedy, action. They're both in it. I'm going to watch it. So I'll be checking it out. Probably when we get off, I'm probably going to pull it up. Wait, no, you said it's almost 3 hours?
It's 2 hours and 7 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. You won't even really notice it. It is literally that good.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in the season of reboots and sequels and reimagining and bring them back and whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I will say, I'm not the hugest fan of that. I think most classic and iconic TV shows and movies should be absolutely left alone. Mm-hmm. But they have brought back A Christmas Carol and A Christmas Story and A Christmas Story Christmas. And I will tell you, it's on HBO Max, and I am happy for this reason. They didn't ruin it. And
I could even tell that with the preview. I was like, wow.
Yeah, the thing that makes it so special is that they have the entire original kid cast back in the movie.
They rarely.
That alone is priceless. And so that is something that I encourage you all to watch.
They rarely ever do that. Now, a lot of times they might have like the lead or like a couple other people here and there. But like when I kept seeing people I recognized, I was like, well, okay, they at least put some effort into this and being like, okay, we're going to actually do this right and not just throw a bunch of people on the screen and be like, hey, look, it's a sequel. They're adults. No, thank you. Y'all tried that with the other sequel and that was crap. So no, thank you. Don't do that again, because I don't even count that as a sequel. Because I watched it and I was just like, this is horrible. This is not the same. It just wasn't good. Like it wasn't like it was not like. I mean, first of all, the first Christmas Story did not age well in a lot of ways. Yeah. In a plethora of ways, it did not age well. But the sequel just was bad. Like it just was bad. Like it was like they literally tried to copy the first one and be like, look, we did it again, and it was like, no, you didn't. You did some mess. So this actually, I was like, this looks good.
I'm looking forward to it, and to be quite honest, it's definitely from my era, from the 80s, but it wasn't my favorite. That honestly, and oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose some fans behind this one. It was not my favorite Christmas movie. I'm sorry.
No, I would never say it was one of my favorites, but it's it
goes under cult classic.
Yeah.
I understand when I say this, it's gonna offend some people. You'll live, but I will say again, I am such a fan of nostalgia and I've seen, I definitely have seen it come from my era.
Yeah.
Seen it. But I actually am probably more excited to see this than to rewatch what they are absolutely going to rerun at some point.
At one point they played the first one. It was a marathon every year around Christmas on TBS. Like every year, I was like, they're going to show on TBS. It's going to be a marathon of Christmas Story.
How many times can you watch that boy stick his tongue on that?
Right.
or when
Santa going to be the only one. I never. Really,
or when the Santa kicks him down the slide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to see it on, but I never really liked it.
Like, or that's because like they're gonna show the same scene with ho ho ho, and then Santa kicks him in the face down the slide. Like, yes, we see that scene.
Yeah, we've seen it since the 80s. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it. So the last thing I'm gonna bring up in the news, now that we have we've had some chuckles and we have saluted Beyonce and Jay-Z, I do have just a little bit little bit of foolishness, and then I'm going to sign off.
Oh, Lord.
It wouldn't be the news if I didn't bring up you just a little bit. We'll say interesting news.
Okay.
Interesting. So, earlier this year, quote unquote, relationship guru Derek Jackson got himself in a little bit of hot water while being exposed by there's a lot of hot water.
Who was Derek Jackson?
Chantilly knows who Derek Jackson is.
Okay, Derek Jackson is he was like a.
Was that the guy with the hostage wife?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't remember his name. I didn't remember his name. You could have just said that. I figured out.
Let me get back to the news. Y'all going sideways already.
I know who it is now. Okay.
So remember earlier this year, after he did his
whatever that was,
after he did his Instagram video, and then she came on and she was standing by her husband with her little,
something.
I'm trying to say his as neutral as I can.
Was that the sword?
She was a warrior for the Lord, standing by her man. And I'm not listen. Y'all know my story, but if you stand by your husband, that is your thing, and I'm not against that.
No.
But now, several months later, she is back. A couple of days ago, she released another video where she is now. Have you seen it, Chantilly? Sis has meditated on that thing and rested on it, and she is going off. She is cursing people and praying that people go broke and their children die.
Oh,
sister! She was praying for. She wants widows and widowers and children with no parents.
Oh no!
She said if you mocked her marriage, then she praying death and broken.
Oh, so we gonna just skip over everything in the Bible and we just gonna skip the cursing people. That's so okay, sister. So
why was I watching Fox Soul and fucking Dineva call her Harry
Chantilly? Oh my gosh! I shouldn't have watched that.
Praise that. You cannot pray for that.
I said, sis.
No, ma'am.
Why you got to yell at me for your husband's
Because the only reason people talking about y'all like that is because of your raggedy husband. Wasn't nobody thinking about you before that?
He said, the woman of God said.
She might need to go back in her prayer closet.
She said, the word of God says, touch not my anointing, and do my prophets no harm.
The word of God also says you can't be.
She said, you have been warned.
She has been too. You need to go back into your word and look at what you're doing, madam. Because your husband, look in the word about that. You praying curses on people, look in the word about that. You must have forgot. Because you is all the way wrong. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
When I first saw that it was in my news feed, I thought it was old, and I'm like, how are you revved up all these months later? Like, ma'am, you should have been this heated a long time ago, and you don't come for other people when the problem is inside your home. I'm sorry.
You can't be like, I'll put it this way, you can be mad that they making fun of you and your marriage. You cannot blame them for it though. Cause again,
if you don't speak curses upon Leya Renee, that's what you're not gonna do.
Thank you. Cause I'm gonna keep laughing at y'all. So how about that? You can't, this is not, no ma'am.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, ma'am. Your husband had he had a couple of women.
No, thank you.
Her fight is within.
Thank you.
Where it is. And she trying to put it on everybody else.
Nah, you can't blame me for laughing.
Out curses.
You can't blame me for laughing. Thank you.
You just gonna get up here and curse people and then try to put God behind it. All right, man.
Oh, where's my fan? Y'all done made me hot. Where's the fan?
She is not even kind of right. Like, she is just not. How some people be like, no, you is all the way wrong.
She tried to make it seem like it was justified.
Nope.
There's no justification in that. And I have been married to a man whore.
You can't curse.
And I didn't break curses on people.
No, you can't curse people for that. This not how this about to work.
I should write a book called that, Married to a Man Whore. Let me move on. Let me stop.
Did she still have her bonnet on while she was cursing people?
Oh no, she free, honey. Now she let that hair go up. She let it go, honey.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, it was the glasses. She had some interesting glasses on.
Yeah.
Oh, cause she done got free.
No, she's not humble anymore.
She got free from the hostage situation and lost her mind.
They said,
but she was sitting right up under him though.
He was next to her when she was doing that.
And they have some pictures they just recently took together. She's still sitting up under him.
Sister Soldier, ma'am.
I cannot. I gotta move on.
You can choose to stay with your husband. That's
your choice.
That's y'all.
Right.
You cannot then be like, how dare y'all make fun of my husband who been sitting running around acting like he know to say something about relationships and marriage and been a dirty down dog all over the place and a big old hypocrite, and y'all made fun of us, and how dare y'all? Nah. How dare he?
Yeah. If she accept to stay with him even after all this, and she knows how big he is on YouTube and stuff, then she's accepting knowing that people are still gonna talk and say what they're gonna say, because it's just what it is. You can't get up and scare people away by putting curses on.
And all she did was make it worse. Like all she did was make it. That's what I'm saying.
People are saying, I see why he did it.
And like all she did was make it worse in general, because now even people that forgot about it, because like I forgot about them.
Right.
Thank you. I did too.
Now people go back and they you done restarted the jokes. You done restarted everybody about you could have just ignored what you was going. You left it alone. And
I didn't know that he was still making videos. He is still giving advice.
He never stopped. He
never stopped. He literally went back to making videos like a day or two after that stuff first popped off. I was stunned. Like, you real bold.
Yeah, he knows his audience.
He didn't stop. They don't care.
Somebody watching.
I did. I care to be like, no, I'm not gonna take advice from you.
I'm gonna give you my Betty Rubble laugh. Oh God, I'm gonna have to move on.
Okay, Mr. Derek. Okay.
So this coming week is Better Conversation Week, and Chantilly has some information for us on that.
Okay, let me gather my notes.
Gather.
Okay, so this is Better Conversation Week, and it's celebrated this week because it's the week of Thanksgiving, and it was founded by Lauren Eckroth. I think that's what I wrote down. And it's to encourage everyone to have more meaningful conversations with loved ones. So this made me think about, well, first, before I say that, how do you guys handle conversations during the holidays?
Who am I talking to?
Yeah. Yeah, like what do you mean by like conversations, like general conversations?
With family.
Me personally, I do feel what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know if it's closer to family, but I do feel the need to, or the desire to speak to family more. But as I've gotten older, I also don't allow toxic conversations. So, families tend to do like the name calling, the picking, the talking about your weight, that type of stuff, bringing up stuff from your past. But just the feeling the closeness, when my grandmothers were alive, I made sure I spoke to that. It was really important to me. Now my children are adults. Communicating with them is important. My grandson, mom and dad. Just creating, I guess, to boil it all down, creating memories is very important to me around the holidays, because my memories of holidays with family is still prevalent to me and very important.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Angie.
I would just say, like, especially when it comes around holidays, you want to just at least make sure you. Well, I say I'll make sure I want to connect at least on some level, especially around that time. Just just because that's like, I don't know, you should do it in general anyways, but it just like that time of year just makes you like kind of think like, let me make sure I'm at least reaching out, saying hey, checking on people, well wishes, even if you're not having like long drawn out 3-4 hour conversations, just
right,
just that touching base, and because especially a lot of the family that I think about are like significantly older, so no easy way to say it. It's just like you don't want to skip a year and you don't have the next one, so you kind of want to just be like, hey.
But that's facts, though. That's the truth.
You might not have that, so it's just like so you just definitely want to make sure you don't have that regret. Like, oh, I just wish I could have just made a 5-minute phone call and been like, hey, just want to say I love you, whatever. So that just that's kind of where I am, especially when it starts getting around this time of year. I don't know what it is about like Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's just like family. So
yeah. So thinking about having better communication with family made me think about the planet Mercury. Mercury represents communication, and it's also combust, so it's really close to the sun right now, so it can make it a little hard for communication. And also it's in Scorpio, and that's another thing. There's no planet that really is like really enjoys being in Scorpio, because it's all about like sudden ups and downs, and it's always trying to get down to the bottom of everything, or trying to help you, make you transform and things like that. So transformation, I do think, can happen, will be really possible with family when it comes to communication, especially if we communicate about what's going on underneath the surface. Because sometimes it's something that we need to say to somebody in our family, but we're not saying it. And it doesn't always have to be a grievance. Sometimes it can be something that, something good that you want to tell somebody, something that you're grateful for that they did or that they said, and it's, it's time to communicate. It's time to share, how you really feel, what's underneath what you usually show, So I think that it's really important that we communicate, and also do it in a way that is not like fueled by anger, but just trying to get down to the bottom of things. And especially with Scorpio, is facing our fears about things so we can gain our power back. So if it's something that we want to say that maybe we're a little hesitant about, maybe a little fearful about, it might be the right time to say it, but say it in a way that, there's no anger behind it or anything. So that's just what I have to say about that.
Okay. Sounds awesome. That's good notes to remember as we're preparing. This week is also National Family Week, and Angelique has some info on it. While we're talking about is the word conversing or conversating? Talking.
Speaking to each other. I'm like, conversation.
Talking to people.
Because I've used both, so I couldn't even. I was like, so in my head, I was like, conversation. Whatever. Y'all know what we talking about.
You know what it is.
I was really trying to get my mind. I was like, okay, whatever. Okay, so National Family Week starts on November 20th, so we're headed in that way. and it has been going on for more than 45 years. Again, another holiday thing and that I've never heard of before. Just not even a wisp. And it was started by well, not started, but it was proclaimed by every president of the United States since Richard Nixon. In the early 70s.
And we're moving on.
And then and Ronald Reagan also gave a National Family Week proclamation as president. I'm not gonna read the whole thing because it's quite lengthy. But he was essentially saying, that the family is the basic unity of our society and it's the heart of our free democracy. So it's a mainstay of our national life, and the family life must be preserved. So that the whole theme of it is really family, and not even just if you have a biological family. It's really it started because look at his name because I wrote it down. Mr. Sam Wiley, a basketball coach and teacher, and a school administrator in Indiana. Okay, it's around our neck of the woods, Indiana. He noticed a difference between children who came from a strong, supported family and children that were raised not having that bond. So this started because he wanted to make sure all children and families have that experience, and not leave any. I don't say leave any child behind, that's another thing, but leave children not having that experience in their life, which I think is a very admirable thing. The National Family Week is a time to be thankful for family and as a national heritage and resource. And at this time, you can do individuals and organizations are encouraged to set up National Family Week activities, events, as well as this word happened last week. Advocacy. Good Lord, that word. Everything happened the same word last week. What it is about that word is like, I want to do it. Ugh. Op-eds, commentaries, blogs, web content, news releases, podcasts, social media. However you can get the word out, however you want to set up an event. Especially now, you got to think in the 70s, you pretty much only had to be in person. Now you can do online events, Zoom events, Discord events, Facebook, like live events on YouTube. So you can do so many different things where you don't have to have a building or rent a location. Just set up the space or in time and do it. Send a link. So that's even easier if you want to do it that way. And here are some ideas for some activities for National Family Week, which again is going to be November 20th through the 26th. So it's going to overlap with Thanksgiving. You can promote pro-family policies and legislation, which that is a good thing to do. Recognize pro-family legislators and policymakers. Include National Family Week content on your website if you have a website. You can also do this for your social media. Host an event to highlight your pro-family issues and activities. Write a blog or op-ed or produce a podcast on pro-family issues. This is a little deeper one. Ask your governor, mayor, or local government chief executive to issue a Family Week proclamation, which I think is cool. So the contact information I'm going to make sure I post on our video coming out and our social medias if you want to know more about that, and definitely the link. And also, I mentioned it last week, so I'm going to mention it again. We are promoting Fakeness 2022 as well. And I put the link in our last video on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube put in at the Elijah Sisters on YouTube. That'll take us right to our channel. And this year with Fakeness is going to be raising money for World Central Kitchen. The link, our goal is to raise $100. So we're not going. Some people is a larger. We say we're going to start and then we can grow it as we go. But our goal is to raise $100 by December 10th. So everything link is going to be in all our videos. You can donate whenever. So over the last 2 years, they've raised a total of $12.4 million for different organizations in total, with a creator called Jacksepticeye has been promoting that. World Central Kitchen it helps with current work around the world. And just the past couple of months, World Central Kitchen has provided millions of meals in response to crises around the globe, including Hurricane Ian in Florida. Yeah, Ian. And Fiona across the Caribbean, the war in the Ukraine, and the flooding in Kentucky, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. And a nourishing meal in a time of crisis is so much more than a plate of food. It's hope, it's dignity, and it's a sign that someone cares about you and that you are not alone. So that's something I definitely want to help, because thankfully we didn't get Ian as bad as some other places. But even as far as the last hurricane we had in Florida, some people's houses, they didn't even get to recover from Ian. So with the Nicole hit, they just kind of, some houses just washed away. So definitely supporting an organization that helps with giving people meals, I'm all for. Definitely so. Again, link will be on our socials. The link is going to be on every video that we post on our YouTube, so you can check it out. Share it. If you can't donate, share it. Just get the word out. And that's where I ended today, because I'll keep talking about it and I'll be on here all night talking about that. So.
All right. My Zoom is trying to act funny.
Don't do it, Zoom. Don't do it. I've had some Zoom issues the last couple weeks too. I understand.
He's freezing. I'm like, don't do it. All right. So this coming week is also National Bible Week. The National Bible Week is during the week of Thanksgiving, celebrating the reading of the scriptures. Of course, we know today the Bible is still the best-selling book of all time. Each year, church leaders encourage reading, listening, and studying the Bible. Church groups will hold events throughout the week. It's an ideal time for families and individuals to share their faith with each other, share favorite verses, and pray together. For many, the Bible offers a source of hope, guidance, and strength in difficult times. Its words provide comfort. It offers peace, encouragement for individuals and nations. Even non-believers find comfort in its pages. So how do we observe National Bible Week? Check with your local church leaders for special events. Local city and state organizations will also recognize the week with reading services and events. I've never actually seen any of my local state or city organizations recognize it, but perhaps yours does. All right.
We don't live everywhere. Somebody does.
Ways to participate. I'm sure we're in the Bible Belt. I'm certain somebody does. Some other ways to participate observing National Bible Week would be to attend a church service. Go figure. Explore the Bible and discover a new verse. Host a Bible discussion. Attend a Bible luncheon. Give a Bible to someone. Share your favorite verse. Invite a friend to join you in a Bible reading. Read a different translation of the Bible than you're accustomed to. Attend a service for a denomination different from yours. That is something really great to do, and I encourage everybody to do that. And read the Bible aloud to someone. Use the hashtag National Bible Week when sharing on social media this coming week. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt first declared National Bible Week in 1941 during World War II. At the time, the National Bible Association read passages on the air at NBC between radio broadcasts. I can't even imagine a world where they read the Bible on TV.
Nah, not just on average every day. No, not no.
I would love that. Between radio broadcasts to encourage the nation during the time of war. Since then, every president has declared the week of Thanksgiving National Bible Week. And there you have it. Wow. Can you imagine? Turn on the radio, and just the regular radio, not the Christian station.
Just regular old radio.
You can hardly hear scriptures on the Christian station these days.
Mm-mm.
But anyway, I digress. Don't keep talking about people's favorite station. They'll start on my station. What do you do? Okay.
I don't even remember the last time I listened to the radio. Anyway, I really don't remember the last time I listened to it.
As we stated earlier, this month, the month of November, is National Memoir Writing, Book Writing Month, and National Novel Writing Month. And so if you have an interest in writing, to be a published writer specifically, we are here to share with you some wonderful information. All three of us are published writers. And I don't think most people are aware of that about us, because you probably aren't. So, so there's information for you today. Angelique is going to share with you. She's a creative writer and she's amazing at it. And she's going to talk with you about just the joy of writing, because you gotta enjoy it.
Yeah.
Before you start putting it out there for the public.
I would say, because I like to speak from my point of view, I don't like to do general and everybody else. I got into writing really just as another way to express like my imagination in a different way. And, you know, because I always like dancing and stuff, but writing is just like another way to kind of tell a story. And, you know, I really got into like fan fiction because I like that whole concept of what if this thing happened, what if this was this way, what would it do? So it's like, you know, I would be watching a show or watching a movie and like, okay, well, what if, you know, this and what if that? And for years, that's just kind of how I was. And then I didn't know fan fiction was a thing. So I just was like, you know, okay, so what if this happened? That would be interesting. Oh, what if that happened? I wonder, you know, that's how. And then I found the world of fan fiction. And I was like, oh, a lot of people think that way. So I started, you know, first I started as a, you know, just reading it and different things and seeing how people wrote and how it was done. And then I was like, well, let me try to write something. You know, let me just see what it's like if I wrote something. And so I wrote something, and I was like, okay. So after I was like, okay, I can post it, because I don't have to put my name with it. I didn't put a username. Nobody knows who I am. It's anonymous. I can just post it, and then just nobody has to know I did anything. So I posted something, and then it's like I get, you know, comments and people like, oh, they liked it, and then I'm just like, okay, so we'll write something else. So, you know, so I've written a few things. Some I will never tell people about because it's just new. Some I've shared and with other people and show, you know, like my parents have seen it and stuff. And it's just, my joy comes from just, I like getting my thoughts out, because like I'm a person that has stories in my head a lot. So it's just like I have to get it out, because I'll just be like, you know, writing stuff like that. I mean, write this down. So, you know, and I will probably piece write like 4 or 5 things at a time and just be like, okay, that's an idea. And then I have to go back and see if I want to finish it. Sometimes I never do. Sometimes I do. So it's really just that joy of creating something is always like, if you've never created something outside of like kids or something like that, but if you've never created something that's in the artistic world, it's a whole other feeling, especially when, not validation necessarily, but when you get people commenting, you know, they liked it or saving it or sharing, it's like, okay, you know, I must have done something that people like, you know, and it's just that feeling of people enjoying something that you thought of, you wrote, and you had the guts, because it's very nerve-wracking to share something you've written because it's like the worst feel. Like the worst feeling is somebody be like, "Ugh, I hated that. That was stupid." It's just like, oh well, sorry. Thankfully, I've never had anybody do that, but I've seen people comment stuff like that. I'm just like, I think it's valid criticism is always a good thing because it helps people, but it's a line between valid criticism and just, this was dumb, I hated it. Well, that's helpful to nobody. So, just really having that feedback with people and, people might, I've had people say, I liked it, but just fix this little grammar mistake that you might not have caught or things like that. I think, in a lot of ways, it's the difference between, say, like a book that has a typo and fan fiction because it's like the immediate feedback that a lot more authors, like at one point authors hated it, a lot more authors are seeing that, they can interact with the fans of their work a lot easier than a book because they can instantly read some comment. A book, well, okay, yeah, I might tweet something at the author. They might never see it. So, just that, that world, I like how it's a lot more validated than when I first started reading it. Like, I know I was a teenager when I first started reading it. So this was years ago. Like years ago. So it's come a long way for like just, to where when I first started reading, people didn't even talk about like reading it or writing it because it was embarrassing. Because a lot of people judged it so horribly, and now people, it's groups on Twitter, is people posting stuff publicly, it's all kind of different places you can, read it and find it. It's just a lot more. I'm not gonna use the word zeitgeist because I hate that word, but it's a lot more mainstream than it used to be. So I've even talked to people that have gone from just writing purely fan fiction and then they take that work and do become actual signed, published authors with big name, like huge publishing companies. So, it's just that creative writing world. Like I do not get how people do nonfiction or self-help, or I have no desire to write that. I don't really even read it because my brain just kind of disengages. Like I'm just like, I've tried so much, I'm just like, I can't do it. But like a fiction book, like I'll eat those up. Like I think one of the last books, I know I said I listened to that because I played it while I was working on Audible. But like I can just listen or read to fiction books constantly. Like if I was to share my Audible reading list and my Kindle reading list, it's huge. And this stuff is just like, I ain't even got to it yet, but it's like, I will eventually. I'll get around to it. But it's just, and I know I do notice the more I read, the better I am at writing, because I'm able to not copy, like, but just see the structure of how different people write and tell stories is so different. Like some of my favorite authors is so different. Like one of my favorite all time is Patricia Highsmith. I love her writing. So it's like you see how different people tell stories. She just FYI, she passed, but she's the person who wrote Mr. Ripley series that they made into a movie. The books are way better than the movie, even though I like the movie and I didn't know there was more books, but she, like, that whole series is amazing, and she's from one of my hometowns, Copper Cove, Texas. So, hey. She passed a while ago, but she's from Copper Cove, Texas. But she's one of my all-time favorite. Anne Rice, another person that passed recently, she's another one of my all-time favorite. Stephen King. He has some hits and misses, but his hits are great. I forgot his name, and it's like, well, how do you like him? You don't remember his name, but the guy that wrote the Dexter books, he's a great author. So it's just, seeing how different people tell a fictional story
Right.
really helps you find your writer voice. And it's like writing, you have a voice, even though it's like, well, you're writing, but you still have an author voice of how do you tell your story. Because I can always tell when somebody is like not copying, but I can tell kind of who their influences are when I read a book. Sometimes like, yeah, you kind of influenced by this person. So it's like really finding your voice and making sure you don't just copy Stephen King or copy how Anne Rice tells a story. It's like you want to make sure you find your voice and how do you tell a story. Like I don't like, so that's I've definitely had to get back into it because I just didn't feel it for a while. But like brushing off that that writing muscle and getting back into it, even if it's just writing like a 4-sentence something, it's just that practice of writing something I had to get back into and just seeing how that is. So that's my joy in it. Everybody else's joy is different. I don't think you should ever get into writing if you're just looking to make money, because that is not a money-making booming business. You should definitely that's one of those business you should get into that if you just love writing. And if that's what you love, then that's what you love to do. So I can't say I love writing, but that is just, I love creating and I love imagining things. So that's kind of where I am with it. And find your joy in it. What do if you want to write, where do you fall in that? Where's your feeling and everything in it? So that's my stance and view on it.
I think that's great. Thank you so much, Angelique. So, do you see yourself going beyond what you do in the writing space that you're in, like taking all your work and publishing it in one manuscript or one book at some point?
Especially because of how I currently write, it would have to be like a book of short stories. Because I haven't progressed to like novel length or anything like that. But I think one day I would. One day I definitely would do that. I do see myself doing that. I think it would be fun to see how big I can make the book. Because I've two, again, Patricia Highsmith and Stephen King both have 2 short story books that I really like. So, just see where it is, because that's even where the Talented Mr. Ripley started, was a short story. And it grew from there. So, and the Stephen King movie with Johnny Depp with the corn.
Oh yeah.
Not Secret Window. I can't think of the name of it right now. But that was a short story. That was in a short story book. So it's just, a short story could be amazing and grow from there, or it could just be, okay, you got a bunch of different things. So I would have to change a lot of names because you can't make money off existing characters. But, I think it would be fun to do that and see what happens with it and see where it goes.
And are you a claim your work or pseudonym person?
Oh, pseudonym. I think even published pseudonym. I just know me. I would rather have a pseudonym. And even, of course, people find out my name eventually, fine, have fun. But I think I definitely wouldn't be published under my my given name.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Well, thank you for that, Angelique. So I want to share some tips to becoming a published author. I actually have my work in 2 different spaces. So I have my work on actual web communities that are for authors, and I actually have my work in a book with other authors. It's in a collaborative effort. So there's multiple ways that you can be a published author, but I want to give some information. So a lot of times when people start writing, they use the term all the time, published author. And I want to ask, what do you think the actual definition of published author is for both of my sisters?
I think published is anything you've written has been published in a public space that's not necessarily you, just like you putting on a website, but like like something that was published. That's what I think.
I think if you write something down and then you publish it, that's what makes you a published author.
Don't you just try to make it fancy instead of say, okay. So as soon as you hit publish, you publish.
The actual definition, published and public are connected. So to be a published author or a published writer simply means that any content that you have written that is yours, we're not promoting plagiarism, that is your thoughts or words that you then make public, that automatically makes you a published writer. So Angelique is a published writer because of what she puts on fan fiction that makes her published. Anytime that you hit publish, if you make your stuff public, so if your stuff is not sitting in a shoebox somewhere where nobody can read it, it is public. So I want us to think about examples, excluding books, magazines, or newspaper. What are some ways that people could become published authors that they probably haven't thought of it?
I would definitely say you can post to places that accept original work, because even one of the biggest fan fiction sites around, Archive of Our Own, or AO3, you can post obviously fan fiction. That's what's the major thing on there. But a lot of people post original work. It's just, their own characters, their own storyline. That you can self-publish books. I know my nephew did. So,
right.
Look into however you want to publish. If you of course you can submit to the big publishing houses, but if you just want to get something out there, it's so easy to self-publish now. When years ago you couldn't do that.
You take I want us to think broader, because I think so many times people think published, they're automatically thinking book or printed. So if I take my Facebook page and the only thing I put is my poems or my short stories, and that's all I devote it to, that makes me a published writer, because I'm putting it out there for the public and providing that my page is public. And so that's what I'm saying. You have to think what makes you a published author or makes you a published writer. That makes it public. Actually, if you're even putting everything that you do, or even your thoughts on Instagram, you're not, girl, I was at the club last night. But
no, your actual thoughts.
I know actual people. I do it myself. I'm actually making a book off of my entries on one of my Instagram pages, because I realize I have a book that's going to be like a journal entry from my cancer journey. And when I was trying to figure out how to write a book, a friend of mine said, you have a whole book off your Instagram page and your Tumblr account.
Oh, Lord, I forgot about Tumblr. Ooh.
Yeah. And I've been posting since I was diagnosed of all of my thoughts and doctor's appointments, but they're clearly defined posts and entries. But that makes me a published writer. So it's a difference between just considering yourself a published writer. And so I think sometimes it's when you're considering yourself a published writer, how do you see yourself? So did you just see yourself as a published writer, or is it that you see yourself as an author, as in a book? You want to write a book. It's the question that you need to ask yourself when you're getting into this space. So once we establish that, then the question that you have to ask yourself is, what is your why? And I know you're thinking, guys, when I'm on the Elijah Sisters podcast, I get asked, what is my why for every freaking thing all the time. Well, in life, you need to know what your why is for every freaking thing all the time. So I think the last time we're going to ask you, what is your why? Buckle up for the ride. I know it ain't the last time Chantilly will ask you what your why is, for sure.
You have to know it. You have to know your why for all kind of things. So,
You
what is
have
it?
to know your why, because you first have to know why you are writing, what motivates you to write. And it's kind of what Angelique was talking about. What's driving you, what's piquing your interest. Are you just doing it to get rich?
Good luck.
You can get there, but the road will be so hard. But why are you motivated to be published, before you begin, is so important. Number one, because it's going to lead you down the necessary path. So why are you wanting your work public is the question. Or why are you writing first is a question. Are you writing just because you're just needing to get pen to paper, just needing to get your thoughts out? Is it because you're wanting to help someone else? Is it because you want to inspire people with your words? Is it because you're wanting to be in the self-help genre? I used to think that was the most hard thing to do. It has become a space that I am better in because of where I am with my health and my journey with cancer. But there was a time when if you said self-help, I probably would have just vomited. I just
oh my gosh.
have done it at all. And I will say,
self-help was like oversaturated market. Like it was. Oh my god.
I will say, as you start writing, if it's your passion, sometimes you will find you'll be dual pathed or multifaceted. You will find other passions or other genres speak to you, because I initially was only a fiction person when I first started. Well, I first started doing poetry as a teenager. I think what teenage girl is not lovelorn? So,
oh my gosh. I know and the funny thing is, like, when I first started writing, it was poetry. And I was like, I've looked at like some of the first things I read, and I was just like, oh my god. I'm so glad I never put that out in public, because this is embarrassing. My life was not that bad. I was okay. Good Lord.
I had a book when I was like 16, 17. I'm so glad that book has come up missing. Nobody needs to read.
Oh my god. It was so dramatic. Oh my god. I was like,
my heart.
Jeez, girl. Jeez.
The things that you find to be so deep when you're a teenager. Like, guys, number one, there was no boy that was ever that serious. And life was never about to end, but it absolutely feels.
And my thoughts were sure enough not that deep. Even though I really thought they were. Like, I thought I was just like the most deepest person to ever deep. And it was not it.
So anyway, you want to know your why. That is very, very important. And you really, really need to know it. And you should be able to not just know it, but you should be able to articulate it. Because once you get into the space where you are really looking to be printed in book form, magazine form, where you're dealing with agents and you're dealing with other people to help you get published, or even if you're self-publishing, you're still dealing with other people who are writing. You're going to have to sell yourself all the time. Who you are, what your dream is, what your mission is, what motivates you, what your why is. You're going to be asked that all the time. So you better get good at saying it. What is your passion? Why are you in this space? Why are you writing? Why does somebody want to read your work? You know how many other people are writing the same thing you're writing? So you want to be able to do it and do it passionately. You should be able to sell you and your words, where people are asking, where can I read what you're writing? And you should be able to let them know that. So, what are some reasons that people want to become published authors besides money?
Really?
It is money. It is money for some people. Oh, and if that is your why, then it's your why. We're not saying you're wrong. It's just, it may not be easy.
No, not as an author. Just not. Probably get their stories out, to other people. They want people to see their work, see what they, engage with their thoughts. you know, a lot of times that's, well, I can't speak for a lot of times, but I could say that's one probably the reason.
I think a lot of times it is to get your thoughts out and to help others. Okay. I thought you was chiming in. I was ready to give her space.
It was almost time. It was almost time.
All right. And what? Chantilly, are you here with us? And whatever your reason is, you want to make sure that it's your reason and not anybody else's reason. Also, I hear the more that I get into writing and being with other writers, I also can tell, similar to what Angelique was saying, the same way you can tell when people are inspired by or copying somebody else's work, I can also tell somebody else's spill too. I can tell somebody else's elevator pitch. Mm-hmm. I can tell when it's not your passion.
No, you're just trying to cash in, especially in the self-help world. You can tell.
Yeah. And so you want to make sure that it's yours. And, you know, I think one of the things I would say is there's no, even if your desire is to be a best-selling author, New York Times best-selling author, there's nothing wrong with that. There's also no race of time to get there. No. Even if you feel like I want to do this in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, you don't want to put the pressure on yourself to get there because you want meaningful content. People are paying for that.
and I think especially the more I looked into stuff and just more in the author world, you should all definitely be aware while having that stamp on your book will help. As with a lot of the awards things, being people that have that approval of the New York Times best-selling, a lot of that is kind of fluffed and almost sometimes bought.
I was gonna say you can buy it. I've been
because that's why
been in
some
books, meetings.
Yeah, that's why some books you see that are that you're like, how is that a New York Times bestseller? Yeah, it's not genuine. Some are. Some books I've read I can see why they are, and some it's just like, okay, so they kind of just put that on there because of the person that wrote it. You know, like say Kim Kardashian wrote a book tomorrow. Hers will be a New York Times bestseller just because it doesn't even matter what's in the book. Doesn't even matter what's in the book. The book could just be she could just write about anything. It's going to be, well, I highly doubt she would actually write the book, but that's another conversation. But the book could be a lot about anything, and it's going to be at the top just because. So if that's one of your goals, that could be one of your goals, but that shouldn't be your only goal and your only metric of judging is my book good or not.
Right. Because the book that I was a part of, the collaboration I was a part of, we didn't make bestseller. We barely made it, but we worked hard at it. And when we met together, I didn't feel bad about that because I know the work that we collaboratively put together into the book. So, sometimes it is what it is. So one of the questions that you'll need to ask yourself, and here are some of the tips to becoming a published author. The number one question you're going to need to ask yourself is, what type of genre are you writing? We can't all be writing.
You probably want to check in and do that
what
first.
Type of or what writing interests you? What is it that you want to write? So are you writing your life story? Is it novels, short stories, poetry, commentaries, children's fiction, nonfiction, mysteries, nonfiction, manuscripts? Let me give you the top 35 genres of books and or writing, so that you can mold this around in your head. Maybe you don't know. Sometimes people are just writing; they don't have a clue. It's fantasy, science fiction, dystopian, action and adventure, mystery, horror, thriller and suspense, historical fiction, that's different than regular fiction, romance, women's fiction. Yeah, I know that's different than regular fiction.
So not a fan of that title because it's just like not needed.
it's just a more salacious version of romance.
Yeah,
it's just it's the I don't want to get into it, but LGBTQ plus, contemporary fiction, literary fiction, magical realism. Graphic novel. Some of these, it's a very thin line.
Yeah.
That's young adult, new adult.
That's okay.
Children's memoir and autobiography, biography, food and drink, art and photography, self-help, history, travel, true crime, humor, essays, guide and how-to, religion and spirituality, humanities and social sciences, parenting and family, science and technology, children's. So those are the top 35 that you will see that they'll try to put you into when you first start writing, and you're looking into where do you fit. And then all of those have subcategories.
Yes.
And those subcategories have subcategories.
Yes.
So, but that will kind of give you an idea of where do you start. And then the second tip I will give you is once you know what wets your fancy, what wets your whistle, guess what? You need to just get started, right? Some people spend so much time talking about what they want to do, what they're going to do. They never actually do it. So once you have an idea, what is your genre? Just write. And maybe you thinking it's one thing and it's not, but just start writing. It will also just speak to you. It will find its niche. It will find where it fits. And maybe it's a blending of two things. Listen, the one thing I have discovered in writing, and I love creative spaces. I think my whole life is creative spaces. Between dance and performing arts, the beauty of creativity is there's rules but no rules. And so you may have two genres that fit together. And that's okay. I mean there are certain things like travel and fiction don't fit together.
No. Like I've read fantasy sci-fi, I've read mystery magic realism. So it's like I've read horror, fantasy horror side. Like it's just you could be more than one thing.
I've seen spirituality and horror mixed. I don't think they should, but I have seen them mixed together. But I mean, if that's your brain, that's your brain. I don't send it to my house. I'm not reading it, but that's
ain't gonna hurt you by it.
There's a market for it because it was a published, printed book.
Somebody liked it. Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to picture it in my mind, like what is it doing in there, like what's happening in that book, and it's just my mind is like, I don't
need it, don't want it.
I don't see what's happening here. Okay.
So the next thing is once you get started, find writing groups, communities, where you can find support. Support is so encouraging, motivating, and inspiring. And I know that's what Angelique finds in the fan fiction community.
Yeah.
For me, I have found it in other groups. I date all the way back to the Yahoo groups era. I'm not a teen.
Oh, my. You went way back. You went way
back. Yahoo groups, AOL chat groups. I'm just
yeah.
I'm in my mid-40s. So I actually started writing in groups where we would get writing prompts and just kind of write from that. And I still actually have some of the stuff that I started writing, short stories and stuff like that. And it helped me groom how I thought, reading other people's work. And sometimes it would just be, here's the sentence for the day, the word for the day, and what is, what can you get from that? And listen, you'll be amazed what giving 12 people one word, the different stories that can come out of 12 different people's minds. So, but it would be so exciting being in those kind of communities And literally to just
yeah.
be like, I can't wait to read everybody's work. And it would even get to be like, I know what she gonna write. I already know how she think. You know, this person, she's gonna write more romance. This person's gonna write more science fiction. And this person's, you kind of start to know. So I think that writing groups help, communities help, especially when you're first getting started, because you may know you, but like Angelique was saying, the more you're reading and you're reading other people's stuff, you're getting to know these people, you find your voice better.
And that's still
you know what's in your head.
That's still around, like the writing groups, like you were saying. They changed. Not, I wouldn't say they changed, but they probably like sprouted into what's called challenges. So like on L3 you'll see somebody being like in this different fandoms have different things, different, like they usually come like around every year, every few months or so, and so they'll like, my challenged words were like 3-4 words, sometimes it's 1 word, and just to see people took those 3 or 4 words and wrote, sometimes people I've seen like 15 chapter stories, one thing. Wow. And it's like, how do you take, like, how does your brain work? You know, like it's one story. Right. This person has been writing this one story for years. I've been following. They're up to 204 chapters and it's not finished. Wow. Another one I'm still following. They're almost at 200. It's not finished. So it's just like, they're like are legitimate writers in these fandoms. Some are, but some are like amazing. Like they're writing stuff that if it was, obviously they can't publish it, they get sued out of existence. But like just to see some people write things that are just so massive and they're just still writing, and it's just like, wow. It's like that.
And I've seen some of those groups on Facebook. I mean, they're everywhere. Just look for writers. Just look for, they're there. Look for it. But I encourage you. Sometimes I've even seen them in just high schools. I mean, if you're a student, I know that they're on college campuses.
Of course.
So it is wherever. I think whatever you need something, you can find it, and your spirit can find it. It's just looking for it. And my goodness, our good friend Google can find anything. Hello. So once you have found your niche, once you've gotten started, once you've gotten your support, the next thing that I would do and suggest that you do, and I'm also going from my own personal experience, for me, I would say is to find the people who are actively doing what you're doing as far as getting it out there. So for me, I actually was hired by organizations because I write for a cancer community, a health community. So that automatically published my work, and that put me in the self-help somewhat genre, because I write about my journey. I write about surviving cancer, and that is my story. That is my life. And that put me back with my why. My why has always been to inspire. And I was hired, again, we talked about all the different places where your work could be published, where that makes you a published writer. Well, I was literally hired off of my social media, my Instagram page. They saw my work on Instagram and hired me from my social media. And then I don't want to say my employer. You can write me personally.
That's why I've never shared who I work for, and I will never tell anybody. Don't worry about it. I work for an amazing company. And so that was an amazing door for me. And I needed that because I had only thought of writing fiction, and I never saw myself as a published writer till I began to work for them. And putting me in a self-help category and moving beyond just talking to cancer survivors and putting my work, my thoughts, these steps I take to do so many things to slow me down, because I can also talk very fast. And sometimes even writing, you're skipping steps. So it's just like having to literally
write thoughts down, put things down, to follow a different rules of writing, because also different genres have different rules of writing. You learn these things.
Yeah, they do.
And so, it was necessary, and it was rewarding for me. I love this genre for me. And so then the next thing became working on the prayer journal with this amazing group of women that I collaborated with. And of course, that put me in the religion and spirituality genre. And I mean, that kind of was a no-brainer for me, you would think. But it actually was a huge challenge for me. In some ways, I think for me, when you're in these type of areas, anytime someone tells you have to write in so many words, in these parameters, anytime you're doing a book collaboration, or when you're writing for anything that's on the web, when you're working for these type of companies, you're 500 words, 700 words, 1,500 words, those type of things.
Yeah.
How restrictive. Because you don't even know. Here's the thing. It's easy to hit that number, but it's also hard to hit that number.
Yeah.
There's so many times I have to hit 500 to 750 or 5, on my job. There's so many times I can't even hit 500 sometimes, because a lot of times write like you talk, and we tend to condense our thoughts.
Gotta take the good contractions out. Yours, it's like
pronouns and adjectives.
Cannot. It is.
Yeah. Then you have to how many times you can't let words repeat and all these different things.
Gosh.
But it's made me, but I will say it has made me so much, it's made me a better writer. It's also made me a better orator, because I do so much public speaking. So, if you're going to put your stuff out there and you just want to keep it on the web, and you want to do that, then find the spaces and the networking and connections will get you out there. If you're ready to get yourself in a book or in a magazine or write for the newspaper, which is really not hard to do, then find the connections that will get you there. There's so many social media groups now. The end thing now is to do the collaborative works as far as your books and different things now. So I mean, it's not hard, but be genuine about what you're doing. And you're always going to be asked, even when you're meeting with the agent or the author that's putting everything together, they're going to ask you once again, what is your why? And be authentic. If it is just I want to make money. I've been in meetings where people are saying, I just want to hit the New York Times bestseller list. If that's what it is, then you want to be in the right group of people with the right book, or with people who, I put it this way, you want to be with people who've proven they've hit it before.
Yeah, you don't want to be sitting there with a new group of people trying to get there. but just get there. And if the first time you don't, then just do it again. And then know what works for you. Do you want to pay into getting yourself published, or do you want to publish yourself? Does the integrity of your work matter to you? The timing, getting it out when it works for you, or do you want to be on other people's deadlines and timings? And is your success? Is it okay if your success depends on everybody else's efforts? Because when you're doing a collaboration with other people, if you don't hit bestseller, also or if you do, if you don't, depends on everybody else putting in the work and the time and the money. And when if they don't, you may not. So those things are things to consider. But what I will say is, what I have enjoyed for what I have done is just being able to say all the different, and I didn't even think about it until we were actually working on this podcast, all the different spaces that I have been able to say I'm a published author. So I need to go ahead and amp up my little resume.
my little resume. So
Not your resume.
and be proud of it. And listen, the Bible says not to despise humble beginning, the small beginnings. Listen, whatever your beginning is, it's your beginning. And I will be honest and tell you, like I said, my beginning was in a Yahoo group. My beginning then became Facebook, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
And I still have everything that I started with because it's mine. Oh, and this is the last thing I would tell you. When you start writing a lot, make sure that that is your intellectual property.
Yes. Yes.
Because when you start putting, the only thing about when your stuff becomes public, when you don't make it yours, somebody else can claim it. Somebody else can sell it, they can reproduce it, and if you can't prove it's yours, well, it's gone. So copyright, but at least put your name on it
somewhere. Yes.
And that's not hard to do, but make it your intellectual property first and foremost, and own it, make it yours, and be proud of it. So that's what I have, and then I'll throw it to Chantilly unless y'all have any questions for me. This week is stressing me out, y'all. I'm serious.
Them bangs. The other way. There you go.
I can't wait to take this thing off. I'm just gonna have to be a real black woman today.
That bang has been fighting you. No, I go the other way.
That's why I don't hardly do the swoops. I usually like to do me just a nice straight bang or part down the middle. All right.
Okay, so
please keep it real, y'all. I'm sorry.
So I was just gonna share like writing is healing. Things that I thought about when I saw that title for the power of the pen, and some things, the ways to write that are healing for me are journaling, and it's a lot of different types of journaling that you can do. You don't have to, you can write out your feelings, you can draw how you feel, you can you don't even you can do it like some people do bullet journals where it's not whole sentences, so you can do it like that. If you're a person that has a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions, a lot on your mind, or if you're just working on something specifically, like you can journal about one specific thing to see your progress on it. That'll be really helpful. Like once a week at least, I try to do brain dumps to get everything off my mind that I've been thinking about, so I can see it on paper. Some people do mind maps, and something that Brian Tracy in one of his books I read a long time ago, he said to think on paper, so you get it all out your mind. So when I do problem solving, I try to write it down instead of just trying to figure it out in my head. And the last thing is what you've been y'all have been talking about is you can write a book, and that can be healing. And it can be fiction and it can be nonfiction. You don't have to say well, this is what I went through. You can make it into fiction, or just some aspect of it, write it in a different perspective. Or you can write your autobiography and still not publish it for the world. It could be just for you. But yeah, those are ways that I feel like writing can be healing.
I didn't think about that. The writing your thoughts out. I used to do that a lot when I was younger. It brings me back to that book of poetry that I'm so glad nobody can find. They were juvenile thoughts, but I also used to do that when we had the ministry in Muskegon, when I was over the children and youth ministry, because I was doing so much. I was doing children's ministry, youth ministry, administrative stuff. I was a wife, I was a mom, and sometimes my mind would just be so, I would get stuck in trying to plan so much, and the power teams did so much that I would have to think. And even now when I do events for Black Diamond Global, my production company, when I'm planning an event, I have to write. And I know that most people do stuff on their laptops, but I physically have to get pen and paper to think, because otherwise I can't even type to think. I have to write it out, or I will literally be sitting for the laptop for hours. Like, what was I doing? It's not a good place.
No.
If I start writing, I'll just be going and going and going and going. It helps. It does help purge you and clean you, and then more starts coming that you don't even realize was in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. It's how I got through my first divorce too. So.
If it can help you.
Nobody needs to see that stuff, but it's out.
I know when Shani was saying writing your story, I know some people write fictionalized true stories about them. They'll it's true in the extent that a lot of the things in it happen to them, but they'll fictionalize it so it's it's like a mix.
Yeah,
which I think is always interesting when people write like that.
I've done that in dealing with my divorces. When I wrote a letter to my ex-husband, but it's actually all of them combined. And I kind of did it to protect my kids, because I didn't want to say things specifically to their father that they could pinpoint. Mm-hmm. So, and I think it was easier for me to just to create this one
person.
Right. Mm-hmm. The word monster came to mind. I didn't want to say.
Oh,
but this one.
Let's see.
It was just that. It was just because it was more what happened to me than the individuals. So it was just kind of that, and it was very healing and cathartic for me to do that. It's been such a great podcast.
It is. And I find Jeff Lindsay. That is a person I could not remember the name.
Oh, okay.
The guy that wrote Dexter books. I was like, what is it? That's his name.
All right. Well, if we don't have anybody currently online, we can move on to Shani's segment and review the settle.
We had 5 viewers, so thankful for the 5 that came to listen to us. And next time, we're going to need y'all to interact with us. We want to talk to y'all and see what y'all thinking. And
talking to you, you can talk to us.
we want to hear y'all input, hear y'all thoughts.
Okay, so what does everybody have going on, starting with you, Renee?
Well, the Elijah Sisters podcast has been asked to be a media vendor at the PD Black Expo next Saturday here in Florence, South Carolina. That's our first public appearance, so to speak. So, you chicks won't be there to help me out, so I'll be by myself, but that's all right.
I'll be editing.
Yeah, whatever. So I will be holding it down. And I'm excited about that, to support my friend Rebecca Jackson. She's as long as I've been in Florence, she has done amazing things here, and I'm just happy to support. I'm proud to support anybody who does positive things here. Well, anywhere, but here's where I currently am.
Yeah.
So I'll be there supporting her. Our friend Dr. Sonietta Cooper is hosting it, so there'll be two of my girls out there. So Black Girl Power will be fully enforced that day. So that's where what I have going on is preparing for that. So if you are in the local area of Florence, South Carolina, you can come out and meet me in person and come, as they say down here, come speak at me. I hate myself for saying that. I really do.
You said it.
I did, and I should never say it again. I'm sorry, Michigan.
Okay, Angie, what you have going on?
Mainly working with our channel, spreading our word out there, working on getting our growth up and our interaction with our viewers up, and just having fun editing it and trying different things. Working on an idea for a channel of mine, personal. That getting a name together and getting it set up. So once that's all set up and ready to go, it'll be released probably once I get past with my other job. Once we get past this season, because they got us all working extra hours, so today right now. So once we get past the holiday shopping season, I can focus on that more. But that's the other thing I'm doing. So that's what's going on with me and what I'm working on at the moment, or as they say on the online, ATMs.
Okay, and I'm still working on my video for brand purpose with astrology. So that's what I have worked on. And you can check that out at The Spirit Guide on YouTube. So it'll be coming out soon.
I'll be looking for it.
You can find her channel will be on our channel, under our channels on the Elijah Sisters. You can find that. Quick and easy.
Did I say The Spirit Guide or the Business Spirit Guide?
I think you said The Spirit
Guide.
But the real, that's why I said it'll be linked. The accurate one will be linked.
Right. I am the Spirit Guide.
The one and only.
He's leading all of them.
The only one you ever need.
Yeah, you can find the one that she meant to say. You did say The Spirit Guide, and I was like,
wait a minute, that sounded pretty quick. the Business Spirit Guide.
There it is. You've been putting out some very good videos on there, on your channel.
Tries.
You do.
Good job, darling. Thank you so much. Well, tonight has been a wonderful show. We thank you all for listening. We hope that you will take time, if you have been looking into writing, if you have been writing and want to go further, that you will take time to just think about who you are, what you're doing, and as we said, look into your why. And once you know your why, get started and then get into those communities and get yourself published. It's not hard to be published. Like we said, you can be published starting even just right there on your Facebook page. But get your work out. And I tell you, there's a beautiful feeling in having your written work, your intellectual property, being appreciated by other people. The thing that comes with it being public is, there are some people who may not appreciate it.
Yeah.
But when you believe in the integrity of what you're doing, you can't even focus on that. You know who you are, what you're doing. You just go for the gold, and we got you. If you ever have any questions, you're welcome to email us at the Elijah Sisters TV show at gmail.com, or look us up on any of our platforms. On social media, and we will be more than happy to respond to you. We usually respond within 48 hours, and we will be more than happy to give you any of our help, advice, or professional expertise. So with that being said, my name is Leah.
I'm Shani.
And I'm Angelique.
Thank you so much for letting our family be your family, and you have a wonderful week.